Dear learners, welcome back to Module 7. In this module, we will be going in detail about different techniques used in qualitative researches. In the last module, you got an idea about the history and the development of qualitative researches. You must be also remembering the Chicago school and the European school, which give a lot of contribution to the development of qualitative researches. So, the last we discussed ethnography. Researchers study the culture of people, the communities, and they interpret the experiences. In this module, we will be discussing on phenomenological research and grounded theory approach in qualitative researches. Phenomenological research refers to study of lived experiences, the study of experiences of an individual or a group of people, more than one individual, who experiences a phenomena in a certain point of time in their life. That is the matter of inquiry in phenomenological research. The researcher gets the details from that individual in this process and try to make meaning out of it. Phenomenologists collect the data from the individuals and study their experiences, identify the patterns, describe the structure of the patterns. So, in this process, subjective and objective perspective of the phenomena is being inquired. There are two types of phenomenology. One is hermeneutical phenomenology and the second one is transcendent phenomenology. In hermeneutical phenomenology, the researcher identify a particular phenomena and examine the themes emerging, narrate it and interpret the same. In transcendent phenomenology, the researcher is keeping away from the research context and look at the phenomena afresh, and the personal experience of researcher is not reflected in this case, and the observation is recorded, structured, and a final interpretation is prepared in the last stage of the research. So, to make it simple, first aspect deals with creating the narratives and understanding the meaning of this narrative, translating this narrative into specific interpretations, that we can call hermeneutical phenomenology. And in case of transcendental phenomenology, that an individual examine a particular scenario, keeping all his personal experiences and knowledge aside, go in detail and identify the patterns and critically observe these patterns, then make meaning out of the observations. That is called transcendental phenomenology. So, in this module, I take an example from Kerala. Kerala was a state where people primarily depended on agriculture. Once tourism came into the state, men and women, they started depending upon tourism businesses. They engaged in different professions where they can earn, and that income sometimes surpasses what they get from the agricultural field. So, what is the phenomena addressed here? The phenomena was a person whose knowledge and expertise is in agriculture switches from that field and embraces a new area, that is tourism. So, the research question can be, what were the social issues and what motivated that individual to adopt tourism business? in this context, I conducted a small study among self-help group that is managed by women. In several tourist sites in Kerala, women manage small scale business, that is souvenir shops or hotels, managing restaurants, or even doing the preliminary business associated with the tourism. So, the women who were once homemakers, they changed into entrepreneurs. So, the situation was realistic, means they wanted earning or additional income. Tourism was found to be an attractive area. So, the life system is totally changed. That is, from working in the field to interacting with the people. In the field, they are more concerned with weather conditions, or they are concerned with the yield, crops, etc. But in tourism industry, it is connected with the people coming from different states or foreign countries. So, the phenomena I investigated was dealing with the change of people, their lifestyle due to the influence of tourism. I hope you got an idea about it. In phenomenological research, the experience of the woman is being observed. I took a sample size of 10 women who are of different age group and different educational background. They wanted to study their experiences while they interacted or engaged with the tourists in their own firms. So, I found interesting results. Once upon a time, these women who were good in kitchen, they were working at their kitchen and they would be expert in farming, are now becoming a kind of mouthpiece of tourism service industry, the tourism industry of Kerala. So, this phenomena which I noticed is a social change. So, this could be one of the easiest example which I can quote in the context of phenomenological research. So, to process this query, I made a few points we can have a quick look on. The first point is the social system where the role of women, where they lived in the traditional life condition, that was the first thing I had to note down. And the second point was what prompted this woman to join the SHGs. SHG means here self-help group, and how they sharpened their skills and enabled them to work in a common scenario. The third point was whether the result which I get from this particular study is similar like what is happened in other countries where tourism industry is being promoted. The fourth point is the enterprising skills of the women. That means leaving their traditional occupation and coming out of their homes and to become part of tourism industry. So, after creating the context, I developed the research questions, then get the details from the respondents. After understanding the context, I selected the target respondents. I observed their daily routine and interviewed them randomly, get to know their insights and experiences and their engagements with the tourism industry in the last couple of years. So, this could give a proper answer that how tourism acted as a phenomena of change. Now, let us look into the second aspect, that is grounded theory. Grounded theory is a widely used word in research area. Sociologists use grounded theory to study the context and develop theories. Grounded theory is also used in tourism and hospitality management context. Glaser and Strauss are credited to develop grounded theory method in 1967. Then there were several improvements and the researchers developed different concepts to conduct grounded theory in the later period. One example is Charmas, who advocated for constructivist grounded theory approach to conduct qualitative research. So, three different sociological modes exist in this study, that is, one is situational and second one is social arenas and the third one is positional. And the researcher here look upon the research problem and address the issue based upon either one of these three. Grounded theory is, it is not just to describe the observations that you gained from the field of inquiry. It is rather a procedure of developing a theory. So, what change we can see from 1967 from the introductory period of grounded theory to 2024, where we have a number of approaches in qualitative research framework. The first period which paved the way of developing grounded theory is based upon observations to theories. That means the role of a researcher is not just to describe, but develop a theoretical underpinning or a framework, that conceptual framework they observed from the data. Let us study the procedure adopted in grounded theory approach. The first part is data collection and the second aspect is writing memos. Third, data analysis. The fourth process is developing categories and the fifth one is identifying the intersection which later leads to theory formation, and the theory can be proposed as a conceptual map or a diagram which gives a definite outcome which could be generalized as a result of the study. So, students, let us see it in this way. You have a research question and you want to gain insight from the respondent. So, you approach the respondent, collect the data through interviews or observations, and the data that you collect is systematically organized. Here we use a technical term called coding and develop latent themes out of this. Means like look the problem in different angles and identify the primary meaning out of it, and from the primary meaning we develop a secondary level conceptual meaning, and connecting this conceptual meaning to a meaningful framework that is ultimately leading to theory development. That is what grounded theory is all about. So, let me again clarify here. In ethnography, we study the culture of communities, a study on cultures. In phenomenology, we study the lived experiences of people, and in grounded theory, the researcher addresses a research question with an intention to develop theory. The data collected by the researcher is organized first, then identify the meaning through label. Label here means code, and in the secondary phase these codes are organized in such a way that it gives a particular theoretical framework. So, this is what we normally do in grounded theory. So, this diagram gives you a detailed understanding of conducting grounded theory approach. First aspect is data collection. Normally the sampling process that we adopt here is purposive sampling. We should have an idea about the respondent and how the respondent is going to give you the answer. And the second level is theoretical sampling. The data collection process continues till the researcher identifies that new information is coming. When the researcher finds that there is no new information, the information which he has is saturated, where he stops or she stops the data collection. The collected data is constantly compared. That means the analysis process is simultaneously going on, and in the process of analysis the term that we use here is open coding. That means giving a label, and from the open coding we develop the secondary level of codes, that is called latent codes, and then we also identify some intervening conditions. The next phase is like creating a matrix, and in this matrix we can keep conditions, that is micro or macro conditions that influence the phenomena in a particular context. Students, let me present you a simple mechanism how to conduct a grounded theory study. So, the research question should be clear here. When we have a proper research question, we collect the data, and the data collection process continues till you are identifying that there is no information coming. That means saturation process is happened, that we call theoretical sampling, and the analysis process is simultaneous, means the process involve open coding, axial coding and selective coding, means slowly from the information that you gathered, that is hierarchically arranged, means selective coding that becomes a filtered information. Axial coding is the secondary level, and the primary coding is open coding. And ultimately you look the conditions which are applied to specific context, that is micro or macro level. We can create a matrix, and this matrix will reflect which points to be included, and that points can be clubbed as concept, and the concept can be related. Ultimately it provides a theoretical framework. So, this is in a nutshell we can say grounded study. I would like to present you an example from a research article. This research article is published in a research journal called Tourism Review. So, what is a journal? For a student in undergraduate or postgraduate level, you may not be aware of the fact. Journal is a publication, and this publications brings researches or research outcome, and mainly these are popular, these research journals are popular among research scholars or research community. So, the study was to identify the digital innovation in smart tourism destinations. The location of the study is China. Here the researcher identified 31 cities, tourist cities in China, to explore the digital innovation happened. So, the main objective, what was the objective? The key elements and implementation mechanism of digital innovation in smart tourism destinations. So, in India we have smart cities. We are yet to familiarize with the term smart tourism destinations. So, in China the destinations are developed in the line of smart tourism destinations. So, here the objective is to identify key elements and the implementation mechanism of digital innovation. So, this author then selected a city as a case and he followed the principle of digital innovation theory. So, what are the information sources he had? He had two information sources. One is secondary data source, that is mainly news articles published in online newspapers or newspaper reports, and the second one is primary data sources, that is semi-structured interviews which the author collected from three cities, Hangzhou, Changsha and Xi'an. Then the internal reports. So, the author he did a exhaustive work. That first aspect is to collect the secondary data, that is news articles which are published on digital tourism or tourism informatization, and the second aspect is conducting semi-structured interviews. So, the information which he gathered, that is coded, that is first order and second order. Then ultimately the result is presented in a form, and that form designed to develop a theory, that a theory which we use, that we call digital innovation theory. So, the conclusion here is we have seen two different techniques. One is phenomenology and the second one is grounded theory. Phenomenology is used to describe lived experiences, and here we have seen two types of phenomenology, that is hermeneutical and second one is transcendental phenomenology. In the case of hermeneutical phenomenology, the researcher narrate the experiences and the phenomena is interpreted in straightaway manner, and in transcendental the researcher addresses the problem as fresh without any notion of past experiences. The inquiry is taking up and the collected data is presented in the form of like critical discourses or a particular advocacy format. In the case of grounded theory, we see the researcher addresses the problem in different angles. We can use primary or secondary data as well. So, whatever data that we gather, we have to simultaneously analyze it, and after analysis we develop codes, and that codes are of three levels. Code here means labeling a particular insight, and that is open coding, axial coding and selective coding. I will describe you in detail when we work on qualitative data analysis in the coming units. So, at the end of the procedure, the researcher can develop a theoretical framework from the study. So, ultimately grounded theory leads to theory generation. I hope you got an idea about what I discussed today, both the topics phenomenology and grounded theory. Or in the coming modules, we will discuss other methods used in qualitative research. Thank you.